Welcome to the True Love Secrets Revealed Telesummit. Today we have with us the most beautiful and talented Kate Houston. Kate supports women who are successful in business yet anxious in love to slay the love barriers, keeping them single so they may create a lifetime of real love and intimacy with an amazing man with grounded and unshakable clarity. I love that. Kate knows successful, strong women are tired of feeling frustrated and fed up with the dating wasteland, and that deep down they want to feel vibrant, fun, and free in love with an amazing real man. Yet, because of past bad experiences, they just don't know how to get there. That's where Kate comes in. Dun, 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 dun. With her sense of joy and ease, Kate helps women reignite the fun in dating while showing them the tools, techniques, and strategies to open up their hearts again so they may attract amazing quality men, the ones who want to commit, when they want commitment too, while not having to downplay or hide their natural powerhouse nature. In fact, they will find real men who adore them for that. That's beautiful, Kate. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. I think so many women have a story or experience around, I must intimidate men, or I'm too big or too much. Either too much or too little. It's like that we're sort of in the little baby bear, three bears, and you're never quite right, you know?
I know that.
I felt that way in a lot of different situations, and I just wasn't really allowing myself to call in the right kind of man. So I would downplay or change something about me. It would be, I was accommodating. I thought, I'm just, I'm easygoing. No, I think I was turning into a chameleon, and then the men would disappear, and I didn't know why.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. I know. I can relate to that completely. Like, every single man making ourselves different just because we really, unless we have done this work, wouldn't we agree that we come from a good place of really believing that that's the way? Like,
well, I think too. Yeah, absolutely. And oftentimes we are, like, if you're anything like I was, and I'm sure a lot of people who are incredibly successful, and this is the thing I really love, is that the masculine energy that you bring to be successful out in the world, I like to celebrate that. There are so many situations where we beat that up, but there's a value to it. It just means it's out of a balance, out of alignment, out of proportion. Sort of leaned on more, and we get to bring it into balance with this other side, this feminine confidence inside of ourselves that allows us to receive, to be connected, to really allow us to experience worthiness with how a man shows up and wishes to provide emotional support, ease in other ways, and wanting to help you or take worry off of your plate. And that shows up in so many different ways. But guys, really good men, they just want to provide for you and feel like they're your hero, even if it's small things, right? So I think we just get to look back and say, okay, the masculine is not a bad thing. And being a powerhouse woman is not a bad thing. It's two sides of a coin. We know if we felt intimidating all this time, that utilizing our masculine energy when we're dating and in connection and communicating, whatever we've been doing, if it's not getting you the result you want, it's not working. There's nothing wrong with you. If you get to learn new tools and methods to shift that. And we don't have any, there was no education about dating and relationships. And even now, when they talk about education in school, it's always the biology, but we don't talk about the emotional component, which is actually the bigger part, right? Where we want to balance that and understand all these feelings. And I think it's really important for the women to know that real amazing men want to be in a power couple too. They don't want you to not be amazing. They want to celebrate you. They want to be your cheerleader. They want to be the one that's like, gives you the big bouquet of flowers when you finish the big something or speech or whatever's the huge next level for you. And that you allow them that energetically. And I think people get confused by that idea of allowing and receiving, because there's a energy within you that shifts in a vulnerable way to open the door to allow that in. And that's something we get to do when we do work on all the tools and methods to shift that. And women who are powerhouse women have absolutely been able to do this. And I have to say, many of them have said, well, I don't know if this feels authentic. Have you ever had, like, I don't know if, like, I don't want to be meek. I don't want to be mute. I'm like, it's not about being meek or mute. It's about being more authentic, more you, and to enliven a side of you that's been dormant or not very awake, I guess, at this point, because there's protections, right? Too, our masculine energy also protects us. And when we've been beat up and we tried to be vulnerable, or we've leaned on the feminine side and it hasn't worked, we might close off those doors as a protection. And that makes sense.
Right.
But what we get to do is really lean into that and learn how to do that balance. And that great, amazing men want that, both sides to that. And it's a sweetness. And when we're tender with ourselves first, I remember just speaking to somebody recently when we were talking about their challenges. One of the things she said was, I'm kind of scared about what I'll discover if I dig deep down inside me. So it really wasn't even about the man, but we get to learn more about ourselves. And the more we enliven about ourselves and our compassion.
I can relate so much to that. You know, when I was through my dating phase, that I was dating these guys, and I went on 200 dates in 2 years. And my thing was, I wasn't feeling the connection, the attraction. And I was like, am I gay? You know, it was scary because I even got there. I'm like, am I gay that I don't like any of these men? And, you know,
what's wrong with me, right? There's this question, like, why am I, right. And there's nothing wrong with you. And here's the thing too, depending on where you are in your journey, you might have that lack of protection. Like, I remember being first divorced and my heart was really needing to heal. And I had some wisdom about that, to not be looking to seriously date, but just trying to have some experiences and meet people and get my toes wet, right? Everybody's at a different place. Yes. And I remember looking around going, why do I not find any of these men attractive? You were the thing. And it was because I wasn't ready to see that. Like, and maybe there was a better for me to not be so interested and let my chemistry and my physical interest be overpowering, so that then I didn't get my heart stamped on again, because it was totally wounded and tender right then in that moment. So it's okay, I think, when we have those moments, right? Right.
And it's okay to take a look at that too and say, okay, what can I learn from this? And what is the lesson on this? Yes. So I love your way of coaching, your zone of genius, because you're so feminine and you lean on that energy so much. And I really like it. I enjoy it. So I know you talk about being curious, tapping into curiosity when we are dating and in relationships. Could you please expand a little bit more on that?
First of all, when we're curious, we get to take the pressure off.
That's the best.
We just get to be learning. We get to be curious, learning creatures. That's what we are as humans. And the two sides are, there's curiosity or being in conclusion, which is also a side of judgment, or deciding before you really know something. Like being curious to discover how you want to approach a date. Like if you're going with curiosity, it's like, I want to go in and I'm curious what I'll discover I will like. And we all know, there's even science behind this actually, that the brain, what we expect to see is what we will see, and what we don't, we will sift out, because we have so much information coming in our eyes, right? In the way we sense things. So if we're in an attitude of, well, he better this or better not that, well, that's where our focus is. There's actually science behind when we talk about this.
Right.
You know, that there is this, you're teeing your brain up to not find the qualities that you actually want to find. So it's important to shift that and really be curious. And when you're curious on dates, you're looking for things that make him interesting. Now, open it up and be an infinite possibility rather than limiting to, does he fit the list? Oh, he doesn't have the list. Now, if there's deal breakers, you can still connect with somebody and appreciate them in connection and intimacy, you know, emotional communication intimacy, and still be a no. And I had an example of that where I'd been on a date and met an amazing man. He had such charisma. He was handsome. He had so much energy. He was passionate. He had goals. And his goal was to be out in the middle of, like, down the valley and build a winery and have horses. And I'm a city girl. So like, I knew.
Perfect match for me.
But I had clarity. I had grounded and unshakable clarity that this wasn't what I wanted, because I knew and I was clear on what my desires and my values and my goals and my vision was. And I got to still appreciate him, honor him, and just feel this is the kind of man's energy I have drawn to me that I desire. But what he wants isn't what I want, rather than slamming the emotional door on him and going, wow.
Right.
Fine, and there's a stone wall or an energy.
Love what you said right there. I mean, everything, but sometimes we get caught up into the, you know, the small details and not in the big picture. And keeping, you know, looking at the very, very small picture sometimes can make us feel very frustrated. But what you did was fabulous, because you recognized that you were attracting high quality men. Now, it wasn't what you were looking for, but the bottom line is that the quality was good. And I always try to tell my clients, look, now you have a higher quality problem, you know, that you are right. So the guys you are attracting are high quality. Now it's a matter of getting clear on what you want so you can choose the right one. And that is a good question for you. How do we know that that's the guy? How do we get to choose? Because, you know, we are dating a few guys. If they are doing the work with us, they are all amazing. And
Yes.
But how do we choose?
Well, I think first and foremost, before we even date, if we're clear on what our values are, what our standards are, what our deal breakers are, and we know about that in the first, you know, 5 or 6 dates, where like the first 2 or 3 is there's worth getting to know you more. And then 5, 6 is sort of where you start. 7, 8 is where you have those real, okay, let's really have those great conversations. It's not just what you say, but how is the conversation going? Is there an emotional intelligence? If somebody's saying something that isn't necessarily what you prefer to hear, are you able to accept their feelings of their beliefs without judgment or reaction or triggering, and be like, wow, okay, that doesn't match for me. But you'll know, because when you are really clear on all of your values and your standards and what you desire, it leaves open the door for how men show up in the examples they do. And so the best example I have is like, there's a client of mine that had a date with an insurance salesman, and she was like, oh, rolling her eyes. And I said, well, what are you making that mean?
Right.
And she said, blah, 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 blah. I said, you get to put that out the window and just get curious. So she went on the date curious, asked him questions, and he's like, well, blah, 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 in college, girlfriend, we left, we were thinking of getting married. I needed stability, so I got a job that would provide. Okay. And it was an insurance. And then he said, well, then as I was continuing, I never thought I'd stay in that. He even made fun of it himself, because he's like, I know, boring insurance. You know, but then he said, as my kids got older and my wife was wanting to go back to work, I could support her because I could work part of the evenings at home and be home for the kids after school, meaning he's a partner.
Yes.
He wants to show up equally and support your dreams after you've shown up, maybe when the kids were younger, and like understands that you have bigger dreams than just being the mom, right? Because they know there's a lifetime together. Then he said, well, then I also got to be a little league coach. And I mean, you hear, like, had she judged him and just said no,
Right.
She would have missed hearing his values. So she's hearing he's committed. He believes in, supporting his partner's passion. He provides stability. He likes a job that's flexible. So because he likes work-life balance. So when you know what things you like, you can hear a man's life examples of how he does things. If you like generosity, is it philanthropy? Is it food kitchen? You get to find out.
Right.
And that allows a man to show up in a different way than just, I have a list that has to fit this one thing.
Right. Wow.
Right?
Wow. Yes, that's amazing.
So it's so good when you can just
Great
show.
guy that she could have missed him.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just one of those things where be curious, because what we're really doing is when we say, insurance agent, part of us that we're not in awareness of is that we're saying, what is it that I attracted that to me with how I define what that is, which is boring or whatever is that initial thought, right? About.
And what about if it's the opposite? If on the dating app they have an attractive bio, but then when they get on the phone, they find him boring, and they're like, I don't know, Natalia, I don't know, Kate, he really was boring.
Oh, I love you bring this up, because I do think it's the best to have a phone call as another way of stepping into learning about somebody and getting a sense for their personality, the tone of their voice, even the sound of their voice. I mean, that does matter. I mean, you don't know until you hear it if it's something you're attracted to or if it's not something you'd be attracted to. We've all heard different voices and know this. No. So that's a nice thing. And just their tone and their assurance and their confidence you can hear in a call. And it allows you to see if there's enough banter without a lot of effort on your part, right? You don't have to get dolled up. You could be, sitting in your jammies in the kid living room before you watch shows or something and have that conversation. And you learn so much about each other. And if there's enough of a good conversation where you feel you're both sharing, you're both asking questions, then it's an opportunity to meet. And if you're having that good conversation, a real man is going to ask you. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't ask you, even if you felt like you had a good conversation and you hang up, like he should be initiating that. It should be really clear. And if he doesn't, there's a reason.
Yes.
And we don't always get to know the reason.
Right.
And it's so hard. Because
hard.
when we want to know the reason, it's sort of for me and a lot of my clients, it was, you're validating. If I know the reason, I'm validating, I'm okay.
Okay.
But I don't need that evidence to do that. Who knows what's going on in his life? Maybe he's, family is crazy. He's dating too many ladies and he's realizing he doesn't want to throw more. Who knows? Or it's just, I'm a hot mess. You don't get to know necessarily, but the right man at the right time will pursue you. And I've met, and I know my clients have met, and I know you have had this too, good men, they've met good men at the wrong time.
Yes.
Been on dates where they're just out of a relationship or they're not quite divorced yet, and a lot of people are well-meaning and they don't know if they have not had the completion of divorce, right? They don't know there is such a emotional value to closure with that. Mm-hmm. So if you are wise to that, if you've been divorced or that, then you don't get involved before they've closed that door.
Right.
For your standard, so that you don't fall in love with somebody who's incomplete with other relationships. Even if they're not romantically entangled, there's all those other things still that they get to wrap up. And you don't get to be entangled in it. You get to respect yourself enough and honor yourself enough to not be in his disentanglement process.
Yeah. Right. Yes, he's still trying to figure it out. Well, not trying to figure it out, but finishing up, tying up things. And I agree with you 100%. No, unless they are completely divorced or, it's the best way to go. It's the best.
Because you want to meet a man when you're at your best and he's at his best. Because when we meet somebody when they're at a low point, that's the entry point. Now we have highs and lows in relationship, that's different. But when you're meeting and accepting their least, they're not inspired to be their best when you've already accepted them.
Right.
point. So you get to hold to that standard for you and protecting your heart in a kind, vulnerable, intimate way of just being honest. Like, don't think I can date, I didn't know you weren't divorced. And I don't date men who are not fully divorced yet.
That's very hard to do, Kate. So how can these ladies make sure that they don't get, because let me share the situation I have in my head. Like this woman, she has been dating for a while and she's dating like one guy here and then, this guy there. And then she runs into this guy and she really likes him and she's the only one she's seen. And it ends up that he's not divorced yet. He doesn't have the final papers. So how a woman ensures that she's not in a situation where she's so invested in the guy that she's like, okay, it's okay. You are almost done there. It's 1 more month or 2 more months, and lowers her standards and accept him under those non-ideal conditions. There is a way that we can help them deal with that.
Well, I think that it's, making sure you ask questions when you're in those early dates, like we were saying, 5, 6, 7, 8, having the deal breakers, that can be your deal breaker, is that I date people only when they're completely, stamped court divorced, right? Like the full completion legally divorced. You have to be crystal clear about that too, right? And really values and standards, your values and standards are not just things for you to share with a man so he knows who you are, because that's how he falls in love with you, is learning about who you are and what you stand for. And, my sweetheart said to me, you showed me who you were, but I did that because I saw cracks. I think we were talking about this before, saw cracks in the conversation. If he said something that a past version of me would be anxious, and I'd close up and pull back. I'm like, oh, what does he make that mean? Rather than just taking it at face value, because men are very present. They're really in the moment. They're not thinking the way we go past freak out and future freak out about everything. That's the woman. We do that, the anxieties we have. But he's very present. And when you see they say something that kind of gives you a, and you want to close off, lean in instead of closing off, and share a value or a standard of where you stand based on what he said. And it's not in a way that's like making him wrong for whatever he shared. It's like, that's really interesting that you shared that. Neutral.
Right.
I blah, 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 whatever's true for you. Like, I am waiting till I'm in an exclusive committed relationship to sleep with somebody or do more than kissing or whatever, because that's usually one of the first questions, is where you go with all that. You have to be crystal clear before you go on the date, what standards you're going to hold yourself to be in integrity with you.
Right.
And when you follow through with that, your confidence builds, your worthiness builds. And a man, whatever his reaction is not like, that's not the goal. You learn something. If they respect it, that means they are, the right kind of man to continue to see and learn about. If he crosses that request, he probably isn't going to be very sensitive or considerate of your boundaries and may walk all over them. So you start to see it, like one strike is enough. Right. With some of that. Now, I'm talking about those kind of bigger things and sometimes they course correct and they may apologize, and that you have to leave space for that too, right? Like, oh, I really didn't know. I didn't know that would offend you. I won't do it again. And then if they do it again, that's enough, right? Right. The giving chances over and over for the possibility of potential changing.
Yeah,
right?
It's what is called just getting to make sure if he's clueless or if he's toxic.
Yeah, like sometimes they didn't mean to hurt your feelings and didn't know something would offend you. And we give some space for that, right? That's absolutely important. And I think really like men really just want to make us feel good. They want us to do things or provide things that make us feel good and enjoy a good dinner, go to a good movie, go to a good show, whatever it is. Right. Because there's energy about how we are in our feminine energy of being present and delighted by things. And that doesn't mean simple. That doesn't mean young girly, too young. It means just fun and heartfelt And that's an experience they never experienced, is just witnessing that. And that's what they fall for, is this delight of witnessing women being who they are.
Right.
And we get to lean into that vulnerability and show that, because we have fun with it. And it doesn't have to be something that we expect a response from, like, oh, I only can share this if I know he'll be okay with it. Well, you have to be okay with it, period. Whether he's positive or not positive response or no response. It's just, you do it for you. And that's so important. And I know one of the things we were talking about too, even before we get to like dates, is it's so important for women. And I think this is the thing I want to remind women, is just because you're still communicating with a man, like on an app, like if you've not been on the phone yet, if you've not met in person yet, if you're in those first moments of chatting, right? You're texting back and forth in the app. Men don't assume that you're interested in them if you just are still conversing with them. I mean, women would be like, well, of course, why would I waste my time talking to you if I wasn't interested? They don't know it. So we need to drop the virtual handkerchief.
Yes.
This is what I call it, because, you know, we get to give them a little nod or do a little flirt or say something sweet or acknowledge their smile, like is handsome or something. So they say, this isn't platonic, there's actually an attraction, because men need a little assurance, especially if we're older and have been hurt.
And how we do that without chasing them?
Oh, so good, so good. Well, there's a couple different ways. It's like, you just simply like, you get to say that that feels good. What you're sharing, oh, that made me laugh. Like, and you get to say things like that, or, you know, but what's genuine for you, right? And when they say something, there's always an opportunity to even just I think we talked about this before we started recording, was the dreaded hi. Dun, dun, dun. How are you? Second worst. Or third worst is, how's this dating app treating you?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes.
So I will answer the first one. For sure. It's like, you can choose right here. And remember that if you're flirting and you're just being fun, flirting is fun. It's not about sexting or texting inappropriate pictures or being too sexual in conversation right at the beginning. There's a difference, right? That's not appropriate. And if somebody does that and you say, I prefer not to have that kind of conversation this early, if they still do it, example of them not respecting your standards. Right. You know, it's, and if we keep talking to them, they might continue to cross it. But really the virtual handkerchief is really about how we can handle the hi. If you really think he's cute, your energy dropping that handkerchief when he says hi, to say, better now that I've gotten a message from you. I stand out. Oh, like they're feeling a little confident they'll step in a little more, but we get to be that kind of vulnerable. Now, that doesn't mean that you commit forever with this guy. He knows this is a present moment. And it's just, you know, men are smart. They know it's about discovering each other, but we jump and lead women oftentimes, lots of my clients do, to making it mean the whole world of, like, you know, it's not a marriage proposal, the end of your first chat, right? Have some fun. So remembering to be that, I swear, if you use that line alone, you will literally incite better conversation, and he should be playful and fun back. And if he's too sexual, it tells you something, and you can say, no, thank you. If he's playful back, then it's going to elevate the conversation, and fairly quickly you can move between 5 and 6 back and forth messages. There's a way to even shift to inspiring a man to ask you to get on the phone.
Oh, can you share that, please?
Okay, well, I can share that my free gift has that exact detail.
Oh, wow. That is.
But it's really critical, because it's just, again, dropping the next level. It's like leveling up, you know, it's gamifying dating. Men love the game, winning points. It's not a game in the sense of we're playing games, but I do this, I get this response. They're like, oh, good. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, if I keep doing this, she likes flowers and is always happy when okay, I'll do that again. You know, like, this is the thing men do. And they want to be successful with you and make you happy. So if we do that little leveling up and we're able to say something, like maybe you want to share, I'll just share a little bit. There's a way to say, like, you've had enough dialogue, you want to tell a little bit more about your story. Do not write the journal, the book in text message. If you're getting to a point where there's something substantive, you're willing and open to share about anything that you think would be fun to share, there's a way to state that that then opens the door for him to see you're open for a conversation on the phone. And he'll either go, let's get on the phone, drop his phone number in the chat, which I know some women freak out about too, because they go, I don't want to call him.
Right.
Well, at that point, you can just do a couple different things there to and still let him lead, because they're just trying to make it easy on you. They don't know if you don't like the phone. They don't know if you're a Zoomer. They don't want to offend you by asking for your phone number, because so many strangers online ask women that, and women get really reactionary about protection. And I get why, but they're fearful. They don't want to offend you. So we kind of have to really easy.
It's we have to cut them some slack, because it takes a lot of courage to do that, to be giving phone number. They're, facing rejection at every single.
And I think I will give something that'll help enliven the conversation. So you have the hi, how are you? And then the other thing is asking who, what, when, where, how questions, not why. Why is can be an accusatory sounding, judgment sounding, and we just take it out of the conversation. Okay. And that leads to curious questions. Oh, how did you fall into that job? Or what brought you to live in blah, blah, blah? I see you live somewhere else. Or, oh, what was it like being the middle child? Or, this is where you incite, those words incite stories. And when people want to tell stories to each other, they don't want to do it on chat. That's where it really, you inspire. There's a way to inspire that. Okay. So starting that way, using those, and you can use the who, what, when, where, how when you meet in person.
Right.
And learn, because they're telling you stories about their life, and that'll share their values and their standards to see if it matches you. Right. And then you have a delightful conversation, not a job interview.
Right. I love that. Love that. So asking questions that encourage longer conversations with open-ended questions, and that's amazing. I never thought of that. That's
and men are so open. When I get curious and come with an energy without judgment, but just I'm learning about you, really I'm fascinated by people. And I remind myself, I get to meet lots of people when I was dating. I'm fascinated by people's stories. I love biographies and autobiographies. So I'm always fascinated by that. So coming with that energy allowed me to be like, and that's an energy that's much more exciting for a guy, because he's seeing somebody interested in him. Now that's, again, not a marriage proposal, not a commitment, just allows them to feel important and for your focus and your attention. And that's important. We all want to feel important and seen and heard. So good.
We all do. Thank you so much, Kate. Oh my goodness, this was amazing. And do you mind sharing with us about your free gift that
I would love
you mentioned already a little bit? I'm so excited about that.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited. So it's called Sparks from the First Text, to be fun, flirty, and free in love. This is going to have some of the things that I shared and started talking about the dialogues and the dynamics when you're on the dating apps and you're feeling like everything is slow or like molasses, and you want to enliven the conversation, or how you can jump in that way, and how you can really inspire a man to ask you to hop on the phone without leading, and really allows you to have a greater connection quicker, so that then you are more efficient with your time, so that you can decide and choose if he's somebody you want to continue to talk to or meet up with, or if it quickly is, the quick sorting it out, because maybe the phone call didn't go well, or it was totally different, then you didn't get out on the town, didn't have to dress up. Right. And you get to make your valuable time valuable. And then the people that are kind of exciting on the phone, you get to set up those dates and be really excited. Bring those questions. Think of dating as the ultimate storytelling opportunity, where you get to tell your best stories that make you shine. Think of the things that made you shine. So Sparks from the First Text is a gift for you with all of those tips and tools, including the phrases. And I give these as dynamic phrases so that you know you can shift them into your own authentic words. Because it's not about, just copying and pasting the phrases, but really being authentic to you. That will help inspire him to say, hey, let's get on the phone. Because that's ultimately what I hear is the biggest problem is it's like, it's been dragging on for 3 weeks. Why? Dropping the virtual handkerchief throughout the conversation and using this phrase will literally move things forward. I mean, when I finally figured this out and I did the little bit of flirting by that handkerchief drop with some of the things I would say or making them laugh or comfortable, and then using that phrase when I thought I felt ready and I wanted to give him an acknowledgement that I'd be okay to that. Yeah. Every time I would say, 99% of the time it was like, boom, let's hop on the phone or some conversation. And that was great. So much better. So Sparks from the First Text is for you. I hope you grab it and discover how to use these tips and tools to help you have better beginning conversations so you can get to the beautiful who, when, where, how, and stories and heart and showing up in vulnerability and listening and being fascinated and awe with amazing people that we get to meet. So good.
Thank you so much. The link is right underneath this video, so you can just click there and grab it and enjoy it. And thank you, Kate. I really, really enjoy your company. So many nuggets of value you shared. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for hosting this amazing event. I know it's a lot of effort and to provide all these resources for this wonderful new community of ladies who really deserve deep, lasting love, and to know that they found it with unwavering, unshakable clarity.
Thank you. My pleasure. Upgrade to join the VIP exclusive package. Maximize the difference that this interview series can make in your love life. The VIP package includes 2 additional VIP-only coaching and training sessions after this challenge to make the shift you want to make to create the loving relationship you want. That is an additional week of coaching and training. A private 20-minute coaching session with me to set real goals, remove your blocks, and get your questions answered. A free ticket to the Get Ready for Love Masterclass, a powerful live training session that will help you create your unique love vision and jumpstart you to create the love you want right away. On-demand access to the Library of Experts interview. These recordings will only be made available to VIPs. And emails from me updating you with all the links and dates for the VIP extra trainings, coaching calls, and resources. Amounts to a total value of $1,100. Today, you can access it for only $47. Click on the button that says Join VIP now for only $47. Looking forward to see you there.